Hey there, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am very excited about this segment because partially she's my neighbor. That's another story. But Maya Ciarrochi is a wonderful artist, and she has something wonderful that is happening actually right now at Wave Hill, and it will continue through December. Hi, neighbor. How are you, Maya?
Hello, nice to see you, Gary.
Nice to see you. Maya is a wonderful artist, a creative person, somebody who thinks outside the box, and you are going to see the results of that. Maya, before we even get into the Wave Hill thing, just a little bit about your background. You've been an artist all your life. It's been something, it's a hobby. Just a little bit about you so people can know where we're coming from.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So I am a interdisciplinary artist. So I work in a lot of different mediums and disciplines. So it could be painting, drawing, printmaking, and also things like video and performance. So currently,
And you've
that
been doing this all this time, like even since you
so
were a
my
child?
this I'm sort of on my third career. I my
But
background
who's
is
counting?
But who's counting? So I started as a youngster in studying ballet and modern dance, and I had a career as a professional dancer, working in different companies in New York and nationally. And then in the mid 2000s, I went to grad school for computer art and video, actually. And I got really excited about interactive performance environments. And so that's the thing I wanted to do. And then I ended up making projections for dance and theater, and then
Oh.
more like regional theater and off Broadway, Broadway theater.
It
Uh,
sounds like you have a mind that can't stop. So you've done this, and now that you got to say, what am I going to do with this? And then I got to do the next thing, right?
it's a short life, right? We're only here
And you're
once
making
around
the
the
most
sun.
of it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
want to I want to understand before we even get into looking at the exhibit. What is the cyanotype, which cyanotype, is that what it is?
Cyanotype. Yeah.
Cyanotype process that I understand because you told me that you
Mhm.
do actually in that apartment that's not too far from where I live.
Yes, so I actually have a studio, but I make cyanotypes in the apartment because I have good access to water, which is a necessity when making cyanotypes. So cyanotypes are one of the oldest photographic processes. The first sort of known book of cyanotypes was by a woman named Anna Atkins in 1843. It's a process and it was done primarily to document botanical specimens like flowers,
Oh,
plants. She documented algae and seaweed. And so you create a photogram. So what happens is you treat paper with iron salts, it can actually be paper or any other kind of material. You have to coat the paper with a mixture of two different kinds of iron salts, and then the objects are placed on the paper, so plants or flowers, and then
wow.
or transparency.
And so this is the blend, frankly, and that what makes it so great and perfect for Wave Hill of nature and art. And so now tell us what you have done. I know Anderson has some looks at what the gallery looks like at Wave Hill, but Maya, why don't you tell us what it is that we're going to look at?
Sure. So this is a project centered on what we now call Tibbetts Brook, which is, for those of us lived in the Northwest Bronx, we know a lot about Tibbetts Brook because it is a buried stream that flows into the sewers under Broadway, but it used to be above ground. It wasn't a major waterway, but it was an important waterway to the Muncie Lenape who lived in this area, and it flowed into what was called Spuyten Creek or Muscoda, which has been filled in when the Harlem Ship Canal was created.
That's right, and
So
I'm going to move that forward, and then there is
yes,
a railroad that owned the property beforehand. People at BCEQ and the Vin Cortlandt Park Alliance are trying to recapture. They're calling it a daylight process. So you have basically represented, inspired by all of the above, by the cyanotype, by your background, and saying, well, now we've got to do the next step, and then also by this incredible opportunity to change our local world. That's where we're at, right?
Right, and I'm looking at it through slices of time. So when you go to the exhibition, you'll see they're all maps, which I redrew.
Anderson, let's just start putting some of those up there.
Yeah,
Okay. So go ahead.
yeah. So this is one from like the Revolutionary War era. I redrew the map, so they have sort of mark making. That's my own hand. And then I transfer them as a transparency and then print them in the cyanotype process. So
And
here's what Spite and Dival Creek looked like before it was filled in. So you can
and
kind of see these slices of time that sort of take you through the urbanization of the area.
did you spend time looking at at old maps? I mean, and how do we? Not that I'm saying that you didn't do it realistically.
Mhm.
How do we know, and how do you know that this is an accurate representation of it?
Well, that's the whole thing, right? It's the hand of the cartographer.
Oh,
So, is it actual? I mean, that's the slippage. So we're looking at landscape through the sort of the lens of the person who drew the map, and then you're looking at through my lens because I have maybe removed some names. Maybe it's my drawing. My hand is a little wiggly, so it's not just straight lines. So
so it is artwork, of course.
it is
That's
art. It's a
what
translation.
In terms of that project, which is a very exciting project, that people don't know, as you might know, that the Major Deegan was flooded. What was it? Hurricane? I forget, lose track of them.
Ida.
Hurricane
Mhm.
Ida. And then part of the hope is that if they do this daylighting, it will give the water some place to go, and we will avoid that sort of thing in the future. Um, do you believe that your work kind of enhances it, reflects it, helps people understand it? In other words, from the artist point of view, what are you hoping that people like me and others who look at it get out of it?
So I really I'm quite interested in like the things that are right under our feet that we forget about. So
Ah,
just a kind of consciousness awareness that there are all kinds of buried histories just under our feet. So water is usually a major one, especially in New York City and other urban centers, because the sort of 20th century approach to control of water, which is to just send it underground and sort of make it hidden. So yeah, I'm really interested in buried histories and kind of like from an archaeological sense.
hmm.
So and also people really love looking at old maps and sort of saying like, oh, that's where I live, or and look how different it looked
Hmm.
then.
So, Anderson, put up another one. Let's just see. And Maya, you can identify. So this is Manhattan Island.
This is Manhattan, and you can see this is also a from Revolutionary War era, so it has a very different shape. It's like very curvy and much more organically shaped. And over time, everything got to the lines got straightened and made it
Right.
primarily for ships to kind of navigate the waters.
Wow. Fascinating. Do you see now? What's been the response of people, let's say, who have come in and seen the exhibit so far? I mean, I just understand, as I mentioned earlier, the kind of the serendipity between the fact that it's art and nature. You said that this type of artwork was created for botany, that it just makes sense to be, well, where else in the Bronx? I guess you could do it at the Botanical Garden, but Wave Hill, which is an artist's like a museum, it's like perfect. I'm sorry, I'm going
Yeah,
on,
no,
but
totally. In fact, I started the work when I was at a residency at Wave Hill, actually in 2020, right before the
ah,
lockdown. So this is sort of carrying forward from that time, and I was really inspired by the place. And the Cyanotep process is also very tactile and physical. You really get in touch with the paper and sun, and because you expose to the sun, and then you have to wash the paper out by hand. So it really connects you to land and sun and water elements, all those kinds of things. But I also love this is a really local project. This is like really about the place where we live. And one of the things that I have in the show is a little box where you can write on a card your dreams for water where you live.
oh, I
And you
like
put
that
it
a
in the
lot.
box, and then I take the cards and I take all the text and publish them on my website.
Mhm.
And there was a very small piece in the show that has people's dreams for water printed as a cyanotype.
Wow. Then we're
So
going to have you come back and read some of them. How about that?
yeah, I would love that
That would
actually,
be
if
great.
it's poetry.
Which,
Yeah.
of course, now I think there may be one more that we can show. So Anderson, why don't you pop that one up? If I've got my coordination right. So
Oh,
this
this
is
was
a
a nice
radial
one.
design of streets, right?
This is actually the
Oh, I'm wrong.
Spite and Dival
Oh,
Creek,
sorry.
when that was I'm sorry, the creation of the ship canal, actually.
All right.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so now here, which what you had just said leads us perfectly into what is coming up, and that is the fact that not only will people be able to interact and write something down, but they will be able to talk with you. And I'm interested in that because it gives you the opportunity to directly explain not only the artwork but the relationship between what you have done and I guess what your hopes are for this exciting project. Right.
Yes, on October 15th,
Hmm.
folks are invited for an artist talk in person at Wave Hill. It's Saturday, October 15th from 1 to 2 p.m. You can register on the website. It is free with admissions to the
On the
grounds.
Wave Hill website?
Yes, exactly, the Wave Hill
Right,
website, and it
wavehill.org.
taking place in the Wave Hill House, which
Right.
is where the cafe is. So you can
As you
come to
can
the
see in
talk.
those photographs, yeah.
Yeah, you can come to the
So it's
talk, and then you can
October
have,
15th, 1 to 2 p.m. You should register ahead of time, did you say?
you don't have to, but it's
But it
recommended.
helps. It
Yeah.
always helps. To me, you want to come and number one, learn about this project, which is going to affect us all, really. I mean, think of how many people use the Major Deegan, but it's going to change kind of the landscape of that whole area that is, I guess, on the southbound side of the Major Deegan in the 230s as they get into the 220s. Eh, God willing, it'll look wholly different, and you bring your questions. You can ask Maya about that. Do you? This is the stupidest question of the day. Do you have plans for other things that you're going to do? And the reason is because I know the wheels are turning. So what's next? What do you got?
Oh, well, what's next is I'm actually unrelated to this project. I'm
Mhm.
going to Vancouver
Oh,
to for an exhibition and actually a performance of another project I have called Site Yiskor, which is also
called
about
what? What is it?
Site Yiskor. It's about
Okay.
memorial and remembrance, and it's music and dance and visual
Wow.
art. We just performed it. My team, we performed it in Poland in
Isn't that
June.
wonderful?
So we're going to Vancouver in November to do it.
Wow. All right. Listen, Maya Ciarrochi, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your great work. Thank you for enhancing our artistic boundaries and also for illuminating what I think is one of the most important environmental projects to come down in the borough of the Bronx in a long time. So we
Thank you,
appreciate
Gary.
it. Wave Hill, check it out. You can see the exhibit till December, and October 15th from 1 to 2 p.m. is the artist talk. I'll see you around town, Maya.
Bye, Gary. Thank
All right.
you.
That's it. We're gonna have to say goodnight. We'll see you next week. That's what we do. Good night.